So when we start to talk to clients or prospective clients, there are a lot of questions. We need to make sure that we're a fit for one another. And we need to make sure that we're asking the right business questions to understand what they're shipping today. What are the types of products? What are some of the issues that they run into? Are we a fit? Are we a match? Because just because we can ship goods doesn't mean that it's going to be a good match for the carriers or for the client. So knowing how to ask the questions of the client is really important. Do you have many origin points, or are they coming out of one place? How is the product packaged? Not everything goes on a pallet, or sometimes product comes in big massive containers to be shipped on a pallet, but then if you want to do drop shipping, that packaging is not usually sturdy enough. So when we start talking to new customers, we have to ask a lot of different questions, not just about who is your carrier and where are you shipping the product to. We really try and dig into the business itself.
So, once we have a clear vision on what the prospective client is doing, what they're encountering in their day to day with their current provider, and we are all in agreement that the relationship looks good, it makes sense to move forward from both ends, both from the potential client's perspective as well as our perspective. It's a good match. So then comes the onboarding piece of it. And one of the most critical pieces when it comes to onboarding is ensuring that you have the account set up to be successful from the beginning. You have all of your credit apps are in, your accounts are created, you have a commodity list entered into the portal that they're going to be using. You have all of their logins created, you have their address book ported over, and you have a very clear vision of what the next step looks like. So then comes the actual training piece of it. So it's important to make sure that everybody inside of that client's organization that's going to be using the portal at some point is on that call if feasible. Now, there may be one off situations where you have to have a separate conversation with perhaps the accounting department or perhaps the marketing team or the customer service team to understand what some of their processes are a little more in depth from perhaps what you discovered on the initial discovery call. So, inside of that training, it's critical that you review everything that pertains to that customer to its entirety. And that means taking it a step further and allowing them to understand the importance and significance behind even simply using a Google map to look at a receiver's address of where it's going. I can't tell you how many times you get into these accounts, you set them up, everything's hunky dory, and then all of a sudden you start hitting variances. One of the things that you can do, not only in the discovery side of it before you onboard the account, is understand what kind of issues they do face so that when you are doing the onboarding call, you can better outline and paint the picture for them to help them understand what sort of impact these variances could have on their business. So, limited access is probably one of the biggest culprits in the industry alongside of liftgate. So, how do you avoid those? With limited access, understanding and providing the client with a list in detail of everything that's considered limited access will help minimize it, or at the very least reduce the amount of variances they see on limited access. And of course, the carriers are forever evolving and changing their rules. So making sure from our stance, especially here at Rocket, that we keep our customers up to date on the latest of what has changed in the industry is how we are able to successfully keep that customer and retain them month over month, year over year.
Often, when we start talking to VPs of logistics or logistics managers, they'll complain with how inundated they are with phone calls and emails about, I can save you 10% on your shipping, and how frustrating that is, especially when you've been in logistics for a while. That isn't really the right way to start talking to clients. First of all, you've got to make sure you understand what it is that they're shipping and are you actually a fit for one another, because you can't be all things to all clients. And so it's really important here at Rocket that we make sure that we match up really well to our customers. And we do this by understanding their business, asking the right questions around what is it that they're shipping, how is it packaged, what is the right mode of transport. Is it loose load? Is it palletized, LTL, full truck, volume? What is the right way to get that product shipped? And we do all of that before we even start to do any onboarding. So it's super important to understand a client's business and not just say, we can save you 10% right off the bat. Who wants to get that kind of email?
So once the onboarding has taken place and the customer is up and running and starting to ship, now we go into what we like to call a honeymoon phase, where it is detrimental to the account that you stay close in contact with them. You're not trying to be that annoying salesperson or even that annoying customer service person that's in their face 24/7. But it is important to connect and communicate with that customer each week over week to really identify their pain points, if they're liking the system, if they have questions on the system that they're using, stuff that you might see even in pulling report by proactively keeping on top of what that brand new customer is shipping day in and day out and being able to report on it week over week will allow you also to better identify trends that could be problematic down the road and enable you to reach out to that customer and have a quick fix or a quick resolution. So let's talk about once a customer has successfully onboarded and they are up and running and shipping. Operationally, it's critical that both our company and the customer is aligning on what they need and what is happening in their day to day. We like to call it that honeymoon phase, but that first 30 to 60 days is really imperative for the health of the account and the success that account has long term with our company. So, taking a little bit of a different approach in not only understanding operationally what is happening, but also being able to pull reports that can uncover trends within the account, whether it's maybe variance or something that's added after the fact that could have massive impacts later on down the road. So being able to uncover some of those discrepancies on the front end will save the health of the account later on by being able to identify those and get to the root problem before it becomes an issue.